Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, of course. Yesterday, guys, a little bit of technical difficulties. Internet, always gotta love how AI, how everybody loves to see this as the future, the absolute future. Technology, the internet, micro sound waves, whatever you guys like to call it. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't really work out. Yeah, I was having major technical difficulties yesterday. And as of right now, seems like we're pretty good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. We're going to talk about some WWE Monday Night RAW. We're going to talk about some WWE NXT. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. We're also going to talk about Tiffany Stratton's Money in the Bank cash-in. Should be, especially with how the WWE is right now in terms of the women's division. This is probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, women's Money in the Bank cash-in of all time. Obviously, we're going to dive into it and exactly why I have that thought. And then our fifth and final segment. Yesterday was Tuesday. We usually do our Tuesdays today in wrestling history, so we're going to go ahead and do it today. We have our Wednesdays today in wrestling history, obviously, because I was not here on a Tuesday. All right, guys, but before we get on into any of that, I just want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat. Go ahead and make sure you guys tell me how you feel. Whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are all ears 1,010%. We just want to make sure that you guys feel like you guys are, staying in with the conversation. A lot of audience engagement is really, really awesome. And we just want to keep this conversation lively, so don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? Go ahead and hit that $ right next to that chat box, which means anything you guys put inside that box is going to be featured and talked about, maybe even debated about on this show 1,010%. Plus, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network. The super chats obviously helps us, kind of keep the lights on in terms of all these, all these amazing sports podcasts with all these amazing podcasters who have one goal in mind, is to make sure you guys consume all the content that you love so dang much. Absolutely 110% free. The NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, or whatever, whatever. It's all sports. All the time on the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you guys tune in daily. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's go ahead and keep the conversation going. Let's get this party started. Send in those super chats and those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, super chat, not your thing. It's all good. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. 1,010%. But of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. Criticisms, some disagreements are going to happen, and it's all good. It's all gravy. It's all good in the neighborhood here at the GSMC Sports Network. We just want to make sure you guys feel like you guys are, part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. All right, so we're going to talk about some WWE Monday Night Raw. Obviously, I was supposed to go ahead and talk about it yesterday. Obviously, never really came in fruition thanks to the technical difficulties. Excuse me. So yeah, let's go and dive on into it. So WWE Monday Night Raw kicked off with Liv Morgan. We are going to get a women's War Games match, and I, for one, I'm excited. I love these groundbreaking new matches that you see in WWE in terms of the women's division. Obviously, when you had that, that ladder match in NXT to crown the inaugural WWE NXT Women's North American Champion. Also, you have, Mi Chin on SmackDown with dumpster matches, with hardcore matches, and then you had a last women's standing match. In the past, you've had a women's Iron Man match with Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks. And WWE in terms of the women's division is doing absolutely really, really good. We have Team Liv Morgan going up against Team Rhea Ripley. Team Liv consisting of Tiffany Stratton, Mrs. Money in the Bank. We also have Nia Jax, the WWE Women's Champion, Raquel Rodriguez, and Candice LeRae, the inaugural WWE Women's Champion, going up against Team Rhea Ripley, the team of Io Sky, the genius of the sky, Naomi, Feel That Glow, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair, the WWE World Women's Tag Team Champions. Taking this at a glance, the moment I saw Rhea come back, I gotta be honest. I was, of course, when you say Rhea Ripley, you're excited. It's cool and all. But for me, I personally thought it kind of diminished a lot of pushes that could possibly be growing around this feud. That could be that could kind of help younger women superstars on Monday Night Raw. Because the moment you put Rhea Ripley in the conversation of main event, of title contention, she's gonna win, and it just makes sense. So there's a lot of superstars on Raw that I'm kind of worried about now, like Lyra Valkyria. Obviously, I've been worried about PFC, Pure Fusion Collective, for the longest time. Now I'm kind of worrying about Raquel Rodriguez. I'm kind of worrying about basically everybody who's coming to Monday Night Raw, because Rhea Ripley, the moment she kind of stakes her claim in the title race, she kind of takes the cake. So that kind of made me nervous a little bit, but I'm hoping Rhea Ripley, she has to start all the way from the bottom. She had a rematch, obviously did not come in any kind of success, but to me it was a surprise return. It was a surprise, and I was happy. I was, it was all right. It was all right. But, ultimately, I just want to see this Monday Night Raw Women's Division kind of flourish. And as of right now, I feel like in terms of NXT, SmackDown, even on AEW, it's the Raw Women's Division is kind of, it's not that great. It's not that great. Obviously, in my opinion, 1,010%. But for me, I feel like it's not that great, and I feel like it could be, I feel like it could be doing a lot better. All right, we got the LWO, the team of Rey Mysterio and Selena Vega, taking on Ivy Nile and Chad Gable, the American-made team. Something that kind of sprouted into my brain. Obviously on Wednesday nights on X/TikTok, not TikTok, sorry, Twitter, however you guys like to, call it or whatever. You have this WWE speed. They have 3 minutes to, knock out somebody. They have 3 minutes to get the pinfall, submission, or victory or whatever. And for me, I'm not a huge, I'm not really into that. I'm not really into seeing somebody wrestle for 3 minutes, and just kind of be like, okay, that's it. That's it. There's no promos. There's no talking on a mic or anything like that. It's just going out there and just kind of just throwing all these superstars together in one main ring. Selena Vega, Rey Mysterio, Ivy Nile, Chad Gable, Scarlett, not Damian Priest. Dang it. Karrion Kross, sorry, excuse me. You have Sister Abigail, Bo Dallas. You have, B-Fab with the Street Profits. There's a chance that maybe we could have a, WWE Mixed Tag Team Championship kind of show. Or kind of like a little title tournament. I feel like that'd be really, really good. When they did it, a handful of, a couple of years ago, where you had Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, Team Little Big, come out the victors. It was entertaining. It was entertaining. It was really good. It was really cool to watch. I just hope they kind of do something like that, along the, along the lines. The match, I gotta be honest, although it was won by Rey Mysterio and Selena Vega, it lasted for 2 commercials. And I know for a lot of people, you're kind of like, Eric, why are you looking into how many commercials the match? Usually in terms of, the LWO, they're lucky to get more than, probably, 4 minutes. And then, for the pushes of the LWO and also the American Made, that's important. That's important. And right now, you had Ivy Nile and Chad Gable lose. I love Selena Vega and also Rey Mysterio. But what do you do with this? What is WWE really doing with this American-made faction? They kind of debuted the same time as the Wyatt Six. Immediately, they feuded with the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six, obviously, they were, taken into notion. They were kind of put in this category of this matters more to kind of put these superstars over more than the Creed brothers, also Ivy Nile and Chad Gable. So for a second, I got to be honest, I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, I feel like WWE is ultimately kind of setting Chad Gable up to fail. Like he recently signed a contract with WWE, brand new. He inked it, so that's good. But what have you really done with Chad Gable? Chad Gable, in my opinion, could be up. He could be on top. Reminds me of kind of like a Kurt Angle. He could be that champion, and he had a chance to be that champion. He could have dethroned Gunther, but they instead they're like, oh, let's have Sami do it. Sami Zayn held the Intercontinental Championship for a respective 3 to 4 months, and then after that he lost it, and then the WWE universe, WWE personnel, and the whole world of wrestling, no one's really holding him accountable for it. To oh, Sami had a good run, that was good. Sami Zayn was already kind of like an established singles, competitor. Why couldn't you give it to Chad Gable? Why couldn't you let Chad Gable kind of, establish himself in the singles wrestling scene as a WWE Intercontinental Champion dethroning Gunther? You know what I mean? But instead, they lost against the White Six immediately. And then he's just seeing Chad Gable take loss after loss after loss. Everything that went down with the, with the American Alpha. No, the Alpha Academy, sorry, excuse me. And it just doesn't really seem like it's, I don't know. For me, I feel like they could be doing something better for Chad Gable and, everybody in terms of the, the American made. All right, next we have a WWE Intercontinental Championship match. But before that, we had a promo with Damian Priest and Gunther, where Gunther, he kind of tried to attack Damian Priest. Kind of went back to his old roots, to try to knock out this street trash that is Damian Priest. And it just didn't look good. He doesn't look confident. Damian Priest, he kind of sat down. He was like, you know what? He feels bad for Gunther. And that's a position that Damian Priest really wants to hold high because it can ultimately land him in that WWE World Heavyweight Championship position. Gunther right now, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not the ring general that we remember. I don't know if they're planning to take the belt off of Gunther. He had a good little reign, I got to be honest. You give it back to Damian Priest. I got to be brutally honest. I feel like with Damian Priest as the World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw kind of opens doors to a lot more different competitors, to a lot more different storylines and bookings, and and stuff like that. For me, I feel like you got to give the belt back to Damian. At this point, I just don't see how that, with this whole Gunther acting nervous and stuff like that, maybe this is a good way to kind of ultimately put Damian Priest over. And then maybe Gunther finds his way on the WWE SmackDown once when the Monday Night Raw comes to Netflix. And he kind of finds his home there. Alright, next we have, obviously the WWE Intercontinental Championship match. Sheamus taking on Braun Breaker. And during the match, I just got to notice one thing. Sheamus looked slow, I got to be honest. And it sucks because I love myself some Celtic Warrior. But during the match, he didn't look good. He looked, he didn't look shabby. He didn't look too shabby. He looked old. He looked way too old. Didn't really seem like he had the moxie. Didn't seem like he had the charisma. Didn't seem like he had the, the attitude to kind of hang with Braun Breaker. So it just kind of looked, obviously Ludwig Kaiser came out and just, kind of beat up everybody and was kind of saying that he's going to stay his claim in the WWE Intercontinental Championship division. I liked it for one. I feel like Ludwig Kaiser is going to be a successful singles superstar in the future. He's young-ish right now in terms of the professional wrestling circuit. But overall, I feel like, he could be better. I feel like he could be a lot better. Dakota Kai, go ahead and, she hits a nice little promo. I feel like WWE Monday Night Raw is gearing toward an Intercontinental Women's Championship reign. You had a promo with Dakota Kai. You had a promo with Lyra Valkyria. So I feel like it's coming. And then on Monday night, on WWE Friday Night SmackDown, they showed the tree for the United States Champion, the inaugural WWE Women's United States Championship winner. And you didn't see any Raw superstars. So there's no doubt in my mind we're going to see a WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship being unveiled pretty dang soon. We have Dominic Mysterio teaming up with Carlito, taking on the War Raiders. Wasn't really good at the end of the match. They obviously the Judgment Day lost. The War Raiders build up momentum heading toward WWE Survivor Series. Finn Balor and JD McDonough, the WWE World Tag Team Champions, come out to attack the War Raiders. And for me, as the days kind of progress, it's getting worse and worse and worse for this Judgment Day. But, I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I feel like if the tag team titles were on the War Raiders, they would have a dominant run. They wouldn't really be that kind of that intricate kind of tag team, style. Right now on WWE Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, you have the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. They're doing great. I feel like they're ultimately doing really, really well with the titles. And if you put the belts on the War Raiders, it just I don't know how many different storylines you can kind of develop from that. And if you think about it, the end of the Judgment Day is coming soon. It's just to the point where, is it wise? Is it wise to take the belts off of JD McDonough and Finn Balor? Because that's the only thing that's really holding this Judgment Day storyline faction together. Without the titles, they're done. Without Finn Balor, good luck. Right now, I feel like it's necessary to keep the tag team titles on Judgment Day if you're planning on really not having them go anywhere. But putting the titles on the War Raiders, although I love myself some War Raiders, I just they're really, really dominant. They're very, very dominant. They're able to kind of dictate, matches inside the ring. They absolutely from the get-go establish, tempo, and they're able to kind of, they're able to control the match and kind of have it at the pace and the speed that they want it to. So that's something that, I feel like WWE kind of has to take into consideration. If you take the belts off of these guys, is it really that wise? With JD McDonough, Finn Balor, if you take the WWE World Tag Team titles away from the Judgment Day, are you basically kind of shooting them in the leg and telling them to walk a mile? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Could be pretty dang interesting. Next, we see a promo with Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six telling the Miz, "I'm sorry for what's going to happen next, but just know that it was your choice. It was your choice." So that should be pretty badass. For me, I really honestly want to see a War Games match, but we're probably not going to get it. We're probably at most going to see a 5-on-5 intergender match where you have, Sister Abigail taking on Ivy Nile. And, for me, it's not Ivy Nile, Scarlett. Six being pushed on Monday Night Raw. Right now, you just kind of, these creepy, cruel promos where you have the and then the crazy faces or whatever. Like, that's cool. Yeah, like that. That's, that's worked in the past with Bray Wyatt, But I feel like something has to change, and I would like to see the Wyatt Six kind of be a little bit more out there, I guess you can say, in terms of Monday Night Raw, a little bit more prominent. I want to see them, being part more of the storyline. But, like I said, patience. Patience in the storyline should, ultimately lead us to the pot of gold. The Alpha Academy, Xavier Woods talking crap to the Alpha Academy, saying that, why do you think Chad Gable left you guys' asses? And it'd be nice to kind of, win against two clowns to kind of build up momentum. Even, even Xavier, not Xavier Woods, even Kofi Kingston was kind of looking at him. He's like, damn, dude, do I even know this guy anymore? So, this New Day breakup, it's going to happen. WWE Monday Night Raw General Manager Adam Pearce has been pushing this New Day anniversary celebration for quite some time. So, I feel like it's going to happen on there, but it should be pretty crazy. Main event time, we have Bronson Reed taking on Seth freaking Rollins. Not really much to say about this, but Solo Sikoa gets involved, causing Seth Rollins a match. Like I said, I feel like this is going to force Seth's hand, because, what am I going to do? You're, at the end of the day, if you're not going to have any backup and if you're never going to be able to defeat this guy, you kind of have to reach out to some unfamiliar friends. Maybe some betrayal in the past. He threw this chair shot at Roman Reigns, by the way, guys. He pulled the chair shot. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to kind of find out how these two ultimately come together. I feel like when Paul Heyman kind of makes it onto the scene, maybe it might be a little bit easier. Maybe it might be a little bit easier for them to kind of, to make amends. But, I don't know. It should be it's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our next segment. We got some WWE NXT review. Yeah, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors and dramas. We talk about, superstar inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations to extensions to new signings. We talk about promotions from WWE to AEW to TNA to Ring of Honor. We also talk about New Japan Professional Wrestling. Guys, if it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So don't be afraid to, Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network, so you guys can get notifications whenever we have an awesome, a live show. So make sure you guys tune into that. All right, so kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Monday Night RAW review. Now we're going to get into some WWE NXT. But before we get into any of that, just want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat, whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network. We want you to know if you guys are dying to get something off your chest, 1,010%. We are here. We are here to hear about it. We are here to kind of ultimately, we want you guys to speak. We definitely would love you guys to participate in the chat. And it just makes things a lot more easier, other than that, it's just me yelling into the mic for an hour straight, which isn't fun. But for me, it could be fun, because I'm just like, I'm just kidding, no. Moving on. So make sure you guys, hit up that tips and donations link, so don't be shy. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? Go ahead and click the $sign next to that chat box, which guarantees anything you guys put inside that box is going to be featured on the show, debated about, talked about, and basically every way under the sun. It's a great way to support the channel. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. 1,010%. And of course, we just want to keep bringing you guys awesome sports content that you guys love so damn much. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. So, your support makes all the difference. So let's go ahead and keep this party going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is, bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, super chat, not your thing. It's all good. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here, the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But, of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. Disagreements happen, some criticisms, and it's all good. It's all gravy. It's all good in the neighborhood. Don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. All right, moving on to our WWE NXT review. First and foremost, we started off with an Iron Survivor match. We had one half of the WWE NXT World Tag Team Champions, Nathan Frazier, defeat Eddie Thorpe. The tag team division right now on WWE NXT is just, it's on fire. It's on fire right now. And, it's really, really good, but right now, Axiom's concerned. Axiom is concerned. Obviously, he realizes after the challenge that Ava put forth in front of every NXT tag team last week on on NXT, he knows that we have to start watching each other's backs. We have to make sure that we kind of cover our asses, because at the same time you can have one of these guys kind of ultimately jump us, and in the match, we're not going to come in 1,010%. So then they're going to take our WWE NXT Raw Tag Team titles. Obviously, Nathan Frazier's composure, his poise, his personality. He's like, you know what? I'm not really too worried about an amigo. I know you keep telling me that we have the tag team division breathing down our neck, and what's a better statement to do than just just keep winning matches. So I can't really put a nail on the head of who would really kind of have a chance at the WWE NXT Raw Tag Team titles, because Axiom and Nathan Frazier, they've just been so damn good. So damn good. So Nathan Frazier was able to knock off, Eddie Thorpe tonight. He had that botched Phoenix Splash, but it was okay. It was okay. I thought it was all right. Then we had an Iron Survivor match. Jada Parker of OTM loses to Stephanie Vaquer, the former New Japan Professional Wrestling Women's Strong Champion. All thanks to Lola Vice. Lola Vice comes out, obviously, I think it was a week ago when they went to Pennsylvania, when they went to 2300 Arena, basically the home of the ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling. And then you had Jada Parker basically smash a brick across Lola Vice's face, which was, not the best way to kind of go about it ultimately. But, I kind of hated this for Jada. But then again, I kind of liked it at the same time that she wasn't really pinned, so that doesn't really diminish the value of her, of her character or her push or anything like that. So I definitely like that. I like the fact that Shawn Michaels is starting to let Julia, it's going to let Zarya, it's going to let Stephanie Vaquer, so kind of these international sensations of wrestling, kind of start wrestling with some of the girls, getting used to it, which is really, really good for them. And ultimately, I'm for it. I think it's great. Obviously, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels is killing it. We have Brooks Jensen losing against Tony D'Angelo. That was, an interesting match. Brinley Reese teams up with Dion Lennox and loses against Carmen Petrovic and Ashanti the Adonis. And the distraction. For me, it was the distraction. You had, him coming on to Brinley Reese, and Brinley Reese was kind of like, no, she's my friend. Why are you doing this? Like, if you want to be her man, like, you can't be flirting with me. And then Carmen Petrovic ultimately took advantage of the distraction, leaving people to believe that, they were kind of in it, in terms of, they were colluding together. So, it was, the storyline between Ashanti the Adonis and Carmen Petrovic, it's all right. For me, there hasn't really been, in terms of love storylines in WWE, I feel like there's more worst cases than some successful ones. But that's, my opinion, obviously, being a wrestling fan my whole entire life. Some couples storylines just don't really work out. It just, it ends in agony. It's terrible. Next we have, Ren Sinclair losing her shot at the Iron Survivor match. We had Zarya defeat her. But Ren did decent. Ren did decent. So, not too much to kind of joke on her about. Not to call her not a competitor within the women's division on WWE NXT. Ren Sinclair, she was all right. She was, she did good. She did decent against a powerhouse like Zarya. I love that, her finishing move is the F5. But you listen to Vic Joseph, you listen to Booker T, they don't call it the F5. They don't bring it up. It's like it's coined forever by Brock Lesnar, which is, for me, I feel like it kind of sucks. But I don't know why. There has to be a reason why they're not saying it. And, I paid attention to that. They had like 2 or 3 chances where they could have been like, Zarya defeats Ren Sinclair with an F5 to move on to the Iron Survivor match to find out who's going to be the number 1 contender in this match at Deadline. But that hasn't even happened yet. So ultimately, I don't know. It's, kind of, maybe Brock Lesnar is on his way back to WWE perhaps. But, I don't know. It should be, it should be pretty awesome. Fatal Influence comes out to address the WWE Universe, comes out to address everybody who wants a shot at that mid-card belt. You had the Metaphors come out, Jakara Jackson and Last Legend. Nikita Lyons also comes out, and Nikita Lyons obviously was met by Adriana Rizzo of the family. Obviously, she took, she hit her with the crowbar last week on NXT. So a lot of, built up animosity between the two. But, I definitely love it. I want to see these girls go at it again. And Tatum Paxley at the end, she came in and she basically got her title shot by putting hands on Fallon Henley of the Fatal Influence. So kudos to her. Kudos to some, Tatum Paxley. All right, so we had a backstage promo. Like I said, Axiom is a little upset that his partner Nathan Frazier qualified to be in the Iron Survivor match, and then they were talking about All Ego Ethan Page. We're gonna have a match next week on NXT. Ethan Page takes on Axiom. Axiom's like, you know what? You don't want to jump the gun too much to find out if Ethan Page is going to be in this match, because the opponent he's gonna face next week is me. So I thought that was kind of cool. I definitely like that build up there for Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And of course, the main event featured the number one contenders match for the WWE NXT World Heavyweight Championship at Deadline. It was between Andre Chase going up against Ridge Holland. This was, basically, not really much to say about it, but Andre Chase kind of messed up. For me, I was like, dude, why are you putting it all on the line? Because, this guy's big. Ridge Holland, he's big. He's bad. He had an amazing wrestling. He cut a really good promo earlier in the show as well. I definitely like that. And it's just I don't know. You had Chase U disband. Chase U's gone. It's no more. It's going to be interesting to find out how WWE decides to book Riley Osborne, decides to book Duke Hudson, decides to book Thea Hale. And I just hope this doesn't, kill them. Does that make sense? I just hope it doesn't, I hope Chase U, the members of it, I don't know, I just hope that their storylines kind of, don't really come to match. Doesn't really seem like they matter on the SmackDown roster or the Monday Night Raw or the NXT roster anymore. Kind of like where you've seen the likes of, Alpha Academy, for example. That's a good example, Alpha Academy. Or, Pretty Deadly on SmackDown, where, it's a tag team, but then, they don't really fight all the time. You don't really want that happening, because Thea Hale, very, 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 very impressive. Riley Osborne, very impressive. The MVP, Duke Hudson, he was literally a move away from defeating Obafemi for that NXT North American Championship. But he was just that close. So, should be interesting to find out how WWE handles these single bookings, because it doesn't look like, we're not going to see these people, together really anymore. So yeah. All right, guys, so do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into some AEW Dynamite talk when we come back. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 20 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, and drama. We talk about, superstar inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about, wrestling promotions from WWE to TNA to Ring of Honor to All Elite Wrestling to New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show 1010%. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we talked about already on this show. Make sure you guys check out those segments on YouTube. We talked about our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We talked about some WWE NXT recap. And then we have, right now, some AEW Dynamite. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. So, guys, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. AEW Dynamite is live, and it's the Full Gear Go Home show from Reading, Pennsylvania. It's going to be a good show. I feel like tonight's going to be a great display of professional wrestling. You know, we're going to have the TikToker Big Boom AJ will appear, which I don't really know how that's really relatable for me. I'm like, you know what? Look at this fake. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Don't want to ruffle any feathers, definitely. So we are live in Reading, Pennsylvania tonight. We're going to have Darby Allin taking on Claudio Castagnoli. Will Darby Allin ever win the big one in AEW? For me, I don't think he will. You know, he's kind of like a smaller superstar. And, you know, I'm not trying to hate on it because there were smaller superstars who kind of, you know, were kind of put down by their wrestling promoters. And then eventually they kind of made it up to superstardom, kind of like people like Rey Mysterio, kind of like people like, you know, Eddie Guerrero. And, you know, it all worked out. It all worked out. Like, you look at Alexa Bliss in the women's division. Like, she was literally like maybe a foot, half a foot, you know, smaller than all the other superstars. But it just, you know, it just worked out. It really did just work out. So, you know, it should be interesting to find out what happens tonight. I'm pulling for Darby Allin, Claudio Castagnoli, with Jon Moxley, with the Bastard Pack, and, of course, not Mustafa Ali. Damn it, what's his name? Wheeler Yuta. I can't believe I forgot. The Trios Champions. You know, I feel like it's only a matter of time for them to, you know, kind of pay dividends. You have Darby Allin kind of get the better of them on, you know, on a week-to-week basis on Dynamite, and I feel like tonight, the match before, well, obviously the show, the go-home show before, well, there's Dynamite, well, there's Rampage on Friday, but we're gonna have Full Gear. We're gonna have Full Gear on Saturday. Can't wait to talk about that. Can't wait to watch it. I feel like it's gonna be, you know, pretty awesome. Wheeler Yuta takes on freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Wheeler Yuta was remembered for obviously leaving the Best Friends for the Blackpool Combat Club. And obviously there's going to be some animosity between Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta because if you pay attention on Dynamite, it doesn't really seem like Yuta's being really taken, you know, he's not being respected. You know, he's being used. He's being ultimately like, you know, Jon Moxley has that fear factor to kind of keep him, you know, kind of keep him by his side, kind of like a dog. And, you know, it's kind of sad because I feel like Wheeler Yuta is a huge piece in terms of all elite professional wrestling. I feel like he breaks out. I feel like it might not be tonight or maybe even at Full Gear. I feel like somewhere along the line, Jon Moxley is going to strike a nerve and Wheeler Yuta is going to be like, you know what, screw this. And this is going to cost, you know, Jon Moxley the championship. Maybe this is the first step to have, you know, but I don't really, oh my God. Right now, Jon Moxley just seems like he's out of everybody's, you know, he's out of everybody's league. You know, he doesn't really seem like he's, you know, he could really lose convincingly to anybody on this AEW roster. Obviously, Swerve Strickland is doing his thing with Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Syndicate. And it just doesn't really seem like it's plausible. It doesn't really seem like it's really that much of a, you know, that much of a huge discrepancy that if you have Orange Cassidy, who's been with AEW since the beginning, if you give him the belt, I really don't see any purpose in that. And, you know, it's sad to say because I root for the guy. I love myself some freshly squeezed. But right now, Jon Moxley and the Death Riders are just kind of running rampant all over All Elite Wrestling. And, you know, they're unstoppable. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to, you know, he's going to retain that championship. Next, we have Roderick Strong taking on MJF at Full Gear. You know, what's next for Adam Cole? What's next for Adam Cole, for my opinion? You know, I feel like he, you know, ever since he's kind of like jumped into this babyface role, you're going to see him start from the bottom and trying to make his way up to fight MJF, you know, for, you know, or, you know, for the AEW International Championship, maybe Konosuke Takeshita as well. Or perhaps he, you know, finds his way in, you know, Ring of Honor. Maybe, you know, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong. Maybe he finds a way to kind of dethrone Chris Jericho, the multi-time Ring of Honor World Champion. Maybe that could happen. But right now, Adam Cole, ever since when he lost to Takeshita last week on Dynamite, it just, I don't know, it just didn't really seem like it, why would you have Roderick Strong taking on MJF when it was MJF and Adam Cole? For me, I was kind of like, all right, like, okay, what are you doing? Okay, so now we're going to see Roderick Strong, kind of like where you had, MJF feuding with the aerial assassin Will Ospreay, I think it was a month ago. I think it was a month ago when they fought at All In. Before that, they, MJF made an example of Will Ospreay's buddy Kyle Fletcher, and then maybe this could be a way for him, kind of, ultimately doing this to Roderick Strong, which forces Adam Cole to kind of, step up his game. All right, what's next for Hook? What's next for Hook in the patriarchy? Hopefully he finds a way to kind of take out Christian Cage, because at this point Christian Cage is kind of pissing me off as well. I got to be honest. I'm like, dude, the patriarchy. But he's doing his job. There's nobody better at causing people to piss you off than Randy Orton is one of them. I feel like Edge is up there as well, and Christian Cage. He's been around, TNA. He's been around WWF/WWE. He's been around, AEW. He's been around. He's been around. So right at this point, I feel like he kind of has a lot of, kind of like the, a lot of moxie, a lot of know-it-all. Is not know-it-all, but like for the right reasons, I guess you can say. All right, we have Chris Statlander taking on Hikaru Shida. Statlander's hoping to build up momentum heading toward her match with Mercedes Moné for the New Japan Professional Wrestling for the TBS Strong Championship. And, I feel like this is going to be good for Chris Statlander. This needs to be good for Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander, she went heel ultimately to help Mercedes Moné win the belt. And then as soon as AEW, creative officials kind of looked around her like, oh shit, oh crap, I probably should have never turned Chris Statlander heel. Because at the end of the day, you had Stokely kind of go away. Willow of Nightingale, her buddy, she's injured right now. She's been out with a concussion. I feel like right now, Chris Statlander, she's a great superstar. She's a great superstar, 1,010%. Obviously, she has history with the TBS Championship. She was the one to defeat Jade Cargill. So, I feel like it might be destiny here. All right, CML's Hechicero Atlantis Jr. and Mascara Dorado will be in action tonight. And we have a huge 8-man tag team match with the aerial assassin Will Ospreay teaming up with Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricochet, and Mark Davies going up against the Don Callis family, which consists of the AEW International Champion Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Lance Archer, and the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Brian Cage. This match is going to be definitely one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. I'm just kidding, no. I hope it is. I definitely hope it. You have a lot of talent. I love, Ricochet going to AEW. I love Lance Archer. I do love Brian Cage as well. I feel like he's a huge player in terms of the Ring of Honor. And, well, not just Ring of Honor, but in Tony Khan's promotions, obviously, in terms of New Japan Professional Wrestling, the CMLL, ROH, and also AEW. I feel like, he has that it factor to him. And, I'd be kind of bummed if he lost that title. I feel like he's a great men's wrestling, television champion. And I just keep hoping that his momentum keeps moving forward. All right, guys. So, hey, that was my AEW Dynamite talk. Now we're going to jump on into some Tiffany Stratton's Money in the Bank cash-in. Will be epic. Obviously, I'm going to dive on into it, but just a little spoiler alert. Over the years, in terms of women who's won the Money in the Bank, they haven't really held it for more than 30, 40 days. Obviously, the person who's held it longest was Carmella when, obviously was first introduced. But especially with the men's Money in the Bank briefcase wasted on this Drew McIntyre CM Punk feud where you didn't really have to kind of incorporate the briefcase to kind of mess that up. But I feel like WWE is at that point right now where they kind of saw it. They're like, you know what, we can't really have any other curveballs being thrown our way. When somebody has the briefcase, they're always going to be in title contention. So A, the person holding the briefcase has to deserve it. And B, it has to be the right spot, the right moment, the right time. And at that point, WWE kind of looked at it. They're like, you know what? Why stress ourselves? We're going to put all the glory, we're going to put all the attention around this women's division on WWE that's been absolutely stellar on NXT. That's been stellar on SmackDown. Raw, I feel like needs a little bit of work. I do. In the women's division. But right now, you kind of have, all eyes on Tiffany Stratton. She's the Money in the Bank, Mrs. Money in the Bank briefcase holder. We're going to talk about her. We're going to talk about possible outcomes when we return. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alright, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring. We talk about superstar news, updates, inactive statuses, and injury updates. We talk about, new signings in terms of contracts, negotiations. We talk about extensions. We talk about basically everything under the sun in terms of professional wrestling. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get a notification whenever we decide to go live, which is awesome, always, all the time. Sorry, excuse me, I just got done eating and I'm getting a massive case of the hiccup. Sucks. Ooh. All right, let's see if I can get through this. Tiffany Stratton, her Money in the Bank cash-in definitely will be killer. It's going to be one of the biggest, most epic Money in the Bank women's cash-in in the whole entire world of professional wrestling. Obviously, hit up the tips and donations link if you guys want to, feel part of the show. Drop your thoughts inside that chat, and we can go ahead and talk about some Tiffany Stratton. But right now, Tiffany Stratton, right now, it's WWE is excited about Tiffany Stratton. You can tell because of the way they want the fans to fall in love with her. Like everything that's going down with her and Nia Jax, whenever she comes out to help Nia Jax, she's at the same time, she's, she's the bad guy, but then again, she's just like, she's just trying to get in the good graces of Nia Jax so she ultimately doesn't squash her. No, Nia Jax is a WWE Women's Tag Team, Women's World Champion, WWE Women's Champion. Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton have been, linked together, so that gave people a lot of speculation that she's not going to cash in against Nia Jax. But at this point, I feel like it's poetic justice. The way she's been treating Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown, just it's not good. It's not good. Ultimately, kind of it's that build up, like when you saw the whole thing with Shawn Michaels and Diesel back in the day, and then once when you had Triple H and Dave Bautista. During their time in Evolution when they first started, it's like, you kind of have this, this sleeping giant that you can't push around too much because at the end of the day, they can be better than you. They can be able to kind of dethrone you. And especially with the, the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase, I feel like Nia Jax is kind of holding that over Tiffany Stratton's head, being like, you know what, I got to befriend her. I don't even think Nia Jax is real friends with Tiffany Stratton, obviously on air. But I don't know. Should be interesting to find out how this how this all works out. Tiffany Stratton is a rising star in the WWE, obviously the future WWE. She secured the briefcase and has been teasing cash-ins for freaking months. She aligned herself with Nia Jax after a verbal and physical, after she's been abused, by Nia Jax. It just doesn't really seem like Tiffany Stratton would have any obligation, would have any, any urge to cash in on Liv Morgan. It just doesn't really make sense. Liv Morgan right now, she has Raquel Rodriguez. She's untouchable. She has Dominic Mysterio. Why would you want to jeopardize your briefcase knowing that those two superstars could definitely, distract the referee, be able to, hit a chair shot or whatever? It's very delicate. It's a delicate situation. But right now, Tiffany Stratton, I feel like her Money in the Bank briefcase cash-in is going to be the best women's cash-in in history. And I feel like it's kind of owed. You've had a lot of the women's briefcase, being cashed in before, and it just wasn't really So, obviously it always has that funk, but then you had the men's Money in the Bank briefcase be wasted by this Drew McIntyre and CM Punk feud. So they're like, all right, people look forward. I, as a wrestling fan, definitely look forward to 1,010%. I want to see the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I want to see them cash in. I want to see those teases where they run out and they get beat up and like, I never cashed in. I want to, we want to see stuff like that. And, in the men's division, we're not going to get it because it was wasted by, Drew McIntyre and the CM Punk feud. They're like, okay, this feud is already really, really badass. But what if we had a failed Money in the Bank briefcase cash? And, for me, I definitely feel like it was unnecessary. In terms of the WWE, I get why you did it. WWE, their bookings, their creative storylines have already been rumored as, per reports, has already been rumored to be, they know what they want to do next WrestleMania 42, and that's nuts. Especially heading toward WrestleMania 41 at Las Vegas, like one step at a time, fellas, one step at a time. But they don't want to mess it up. Obviously whenever there's a men's or a women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder, there's always that what if. You can't really complete the storyline because they're like, you can't really complete the storytelling with a lingering factor, with an outside catalyst that would be a Money in the Bank briefcase holder. So that's why, Triple H was like, in the men's, guess what? No, we're not doing it. We're planning things up for Rocky. We're planning things, for Cody, heading toward WrestleMania with Roman, and this new Bloodline Civil War thing. So we're not really going to have a Money in the Bank briefcase holder because Cody needs the title. And on Monday Night Raw, it's easier to ultimately manipulate what's going to happen, especially when Monday Night Raw debuts on Netflix. It's kind of easier to handle and dictate what's going to happen and the nature of that title holder without a Money in the Bank briefcase holder. So that's why it makes me think that I was like, you know what? This women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder, obviously Tiffany Stratton, her cash-in has to be. It has to be. If it's anything short of spectacular, Tiffany Stratton's character could be in complete trouble. She failed. She has to cash in successfully. She fails her cash in, and then she just becomes a punching bag for Nia Jax on SmackDown. That's not good. And that's the only thing that's in. Are we going to see her jump out to Monday Night Raw? Maybe, and then be run up rampant by Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and also Dominic Mysterio. So at the time, it just seems like Tiffany needs to be successful. At this point, she needs to be successful. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. I feel like WWE can't afford to screw this up for Tiffany Stratton. Speaking on the gorilla position, Stratton was asked if she was going to cash in on Nia Jax. She said this, and I quote, "Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm never going to tell you when I'm going to cash in. It's going to be a complete surprise, and it's going to be absolutely epic." She was teasing about maybe it could happen on the Raw's premiere on Netflix in January 2025. She said maybe that rings a bell. And, like I said before, the women's wrestling in terms of this year has been so impactful in terms of professional wrestling. And that's why I feel like Tiffany Stratton's cash-in will be the best Money in the Bank women's cash-in in all of history. Maybe even be up there with the men's, like with Seth Rollins cashing in on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Because you haven't seen it in a long time. You really haven't seen it. Now you kind of have, two mid-card belts for the women, the United States and North American Championship on NXT, and now you're probably going to see an Intercontinental Championship right around the corner. The longest person who's held the briefcase was Carmella, who held it for 287 days. Mella is money. Which Monet is, it's kind of crazy. In 2018, we had Alexa Bliss, who held it for 2 hours and 52 minutes. In 2019, Bayley held it for an hour and 25 minutes. In 2020, Asuka was awarded she won the briefcase, but then she was awarded the championship because Becky Lynch was pregnant, and she was basically going to go out there and, be a mom. Nikki ASH, she held it for 1 day. Liv Morgan held it for an hour and 45 minutes. Io Sky held it for 35 days. So, Tiffany Stratton, I feel like a lot of people are waiting for her to cash in. kind of like what you had with men's professional wrestling. I kind of like it how right now with the women's and the men's, the line is kind of blurred because, you know, when the men were kind of expected to get all the attention, you know, obviously, you know, somebody like, you know, Carmelo Hayes or somebody like Andrade or maybe somebody like Chad Gable, Seth Rollins, or maybe even Sami Zayn have the briefcase, and you're constantly watching them to find out after every single title match if they're going to, you know, come out and, you know, kind of tease it. And the more they tease it, the more at the end of the day, it's a lot more, you know, it's a lot more juicier. It's a lot more successful. Obviously, in my opinion, 1,010%. But overall, I feel like this is going to be great for Tiffany Stratton. And this cash-in needs to be needs to be two things. Epic and successful. Because, you know, you could definitely lose Tiffany Stratton's character if this is fumbled by WWE. So, you know, I'm looking forward to find out, you know, how she cashes in. All right, guys, without further ado, we're going to jump on to our fifth and final segment. We're going to talk about today in wrestling history on this beautiful November 20th evening. And, you know, I'm going to take you guys into my wrestling DeLorean, gun it to 88 miles per hour, Marty. Hit up the flux capacitor. And we're going to go back in time on this date to talk about some of the monumental moments of professional wrestling when we come back. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice-cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So, hey, do not go anywhere. Alright, and we're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumor, and drama. We talk about superstar inactive statuses and injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings from WWE to AEW to TNA to New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So make sure you guys like and subscribe to the show so you guys can find out, get a little notification, get a little buzz on, you know, for whenever we're going to go live. All right, to kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick, we had our WWE Monday Night RAW review. We had our WWE NXT recap. We also talked about AEW Dynamite live tonight in Reading, Pennsylvania. We previewed that. And then we talked about Tiffany Stratton's Money in the Bank briefcase, cash-in. It should be nothing short of spectacular. If it's anything short of spectacular, it's going to be considered a flop, a failure, an absolute garbage. What's he going to know? I'm pretty sure WWE would do pretty well by that. So without further ado, let's go and talk about our fifth and final segment. Obviously, we do it on Tuesdays, but since we had technical difficulties yesterday, we're going to do it tonight. We have our Wednesdays today in wrestling history. Let's go ahead and kick off with some 1990 NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, Clash of Champions 8. We had Thanksgiving Thunder took place in Jacksonville, Florida. Rick and Scott Steiner retained the NWA United States Tag Team titles in less than 2 minutes against the team of Magnum Force 1 and Magnum Force 2. In the main event, we saw Ric Flair pin Butcher Reed after various interference from Theodore Long, Ron Simmons, obviously helping Reed, and Arn Anderson on the side of Ric Flair. So that was kind of cool. Definitely, I love about kind of reminiscing in wrestling history and stuff like that. Just kind of finding out a lot of a lot of old school superstars like Rick Scott Steiner, obviously the uncle and the father of Braun Breaker, and then Butch Reed, also Ron Simmons, Farouk, damn, I'm just kidding, from the AP, the Alkalites, that kind of nature. Arn Anderson, awesome, Ric Flair. I definitely love reminiscing in a couple of cool things. And Thanksgiving Thunder. Thanks. Is it me, or I feel like Thanksgiving is a lot later than it usually is? I don't know. That might be my opinion. I know it's the last Thursday of November, and I think the first is on a Monday or Sunday. I'm not too sure. But Thanksgiving, I think, is on the 27th or the 28th. Usually, it's on like the 21 to the 21, the 21th, the 21st to like the 24th. But it's late. I don't know why. Dang, freaking global warming, bro. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. Oh no, that's not good. No. Okay, let's move on. All right, so we have our WCW Battle Bowl, which was held in Pensacola, Florida. A lottery-type concept paired up wrestlers at random for various tag team matches, with the winning team from each advancing to the over-the-top rope Battle Royal, and the winner from the Battle Royal being declared the winner of the Battle Bowl. That's actually kind of cool. We had Vader teaming up with Cactus Jack, taking on Charlie Norris and Kane, Stevie Ray. We had Brian Knobbs and Johnny B. Bad defeated Eric Watts and Paul Roma. The Shockmaster, ooh, that's a nice one. The Shockmaster and Paul Orndorff defeated Ricky Steamboat and Lord Steven Regal. And then we saw King Kong and Dusty Rhodes defeat the Equalizer and Awesome Kong. Sting and Jerry Saggs defeated Ron Simmons and Keith Cole. Ric Flair and Steve Austin defeated Too Cold Scorpio and Max Payne. Rick Rude and Shanghai Pierce defeated Tex Slazenger and Marcus Bagwell. A Road Warrior Hawk and Rip Rogers defeated Davey Boy Smith and Cole. Vader last eliminated Sting to win the Battle Bowl, to win the Battle Royal. Man, you gotta love yourself some Vader right there. Obviously, Sting in the lower left-hand corner right there. Cactus Jack, man. Look at Stone Cold Steve Austin with some hair. Look at my man with some wavy blonde hair right there. What if Stone Cold Steve Austin would have never left WCW? Would WWF/WWE would have made it past the Monday Night Wars? I'm not too sure. Ricky Steamboat was obviously a huge inspiration for a lot of young superstars growing up. Ric Flair, don't really have much to say about this guy, but if you know, you know. He was a complete badass. He was like legendary. People, wrestlers, future generations wanted to be like him, and it was, it was cool. Guys wanted to be like him, girls wanted to be with him. That's how badass Ric Flair was, during that time. But, overall, I feel like it was, it was his time. Ric Flair, give my respect 1,010%. All right, so next we have 1994 in Tokyo, Japan. Bull Nakano defeated Alundra Blaze to win the WWF Women's Championship. I think it was last year. Last year, Bull Nakano was, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and the person who actually inducted her was Alundra Blaze. So, you gotta love that. You gotta love that. Feuds, at the end of the day, it's entertainment, guys. It's entertainment. None of these guys actually, straight up hate each other, although sometimes behind the curtain, not trying to break the fourth wall here, trying to kill kayfabe, but sometimes it's, sometimes people actually hurt each other in the ring because they're like, hey, honestly, I don't like this person. I feel like they don't belong here. And if you can't keep up with wrestling, you can't keep up with the moves, then you don't belong here. So, these two women obviously supported each other's push during each other's obviously respective time inside the ring of professional wrestling. And it was just great. It was definitely something great. Definitely love myself some Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano. All right, at NWA TNA Weekly Pay-Per-View, Jeff Jarrett defeated Ron the Truth Killings to win his first NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Good for Jeff Jarrett. Definitely remember when I started watching TNA, Jeff Jarrett was kind of like that. It was kind of like the heel. He was kind of like the Triple H of TNA. I don't know if that's going out on a limb and kind of being like, he was that badass. But no, he was absolutely 1,000. He was like a tyrant. Everybody hated him. But then at the end of the day, all he did was win, no matter what. Winning titles. I mean, Jim Cornette hated him like it was crazy. But Jeff Jarrett, he found his home in TNA, and at one point I thought he actually owned it. Don't quote me on that, obviously, but I definitely thought that 1,010%. In 2000, an action-packed episode of WWF Monday Night Raw was held in Orlando, Florida. On the card, we saw The Rock and Chris Jericho teamed up to beat the pairing of Rikishi and Kane. The Undertaker beat Edge and Christian in a 2-on-1 handicap match. We also, in less than 3 minutes. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty badass. Good for Taker. And in the main event, we saw Stone Cold Steve Austin hit a stunner to get the win over Chris Benoit. So, a lot of close stuff happening there. All right, in 2010, in the main event of Jersey All Pro Wrestling's November to Remember, Brody Lee won a 4-way, no disqualification, and no countout match against Azriel, Don Mafe, and also Nick Gage to become the new JAPW heavyweight champion. So obviously, you rest in peace, my man Brody Lee, right there. Sending love and respect and condolences to his family. He was a great man. He was a great wrestler, but just overall an amazing human being. So 1,010%, got to give some glory to my man Brody Lee. In 2011, WWE Survivor Series was held in Madison Square Garden, New York. The main event saw John Cena and The Rock team up against and to beat The Awesome Truth, the team of The Miz and R-Truth. This was The Rock's first WWE match ever since WrestleMania 20 in 2004. Prior to this match, however, CM Punk submitted Alberto Del Rio to win the WWE Championship and would hold on to the titles for a whopping 434 days. That's obviously back in the day, CM Punk was deserving. Well deserving. Like he, that's the reason why there was that pipe bomb, and that's the reason why he was very, he was very frustrated, and you can't help but to believe that, it was his due diligence. In 2016 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, WWE presented Survivor Series. In the main event, you saw Goldberg taking on Brock Lesnar. The match started with Lesnar picking up Goldberg and forcing him into the corner before. Goldberg shoved him backwards onto the mat. When Lesnar got up, Goldberg hit him with the spear. Lesnar got onto his feet. Goldberg hit another spear, which was followed by the jackhammer. Obviously got that 1, 2, 3. The match time was 86 seconds. This was Goldberg's first WWE match since WrestleMania 20 in 2004. Not good. I remember watching this match, and I gotta be honest, I was livid. I thought this was stupid. I thought it was terrible. You have two guys that are kind of known for, kind of being that big, bad, abrasive, the dominant, kind of wrestlers, and I remember the look on Paul Heyman's face. He was kind of like, obviously that was kayfabe to be like, oh my God, I've never seen Brock Lesnar being handled like this before. But at the same time, I could be like, you can make an argument to be like, this is the worst match I've ever seen in my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, none of these guys really put on good matches. Brock Lesnar, decent matches, but, he does a lot of smash spots as well. Bill Goldberg, all smash matches. But it's just, for me, I hated it. I definitely, I remember seeing this. Obviously, I bought WWE 2K17. Obviously, Brock Lesnar was on the cover, which sucked because I was like, dude, Brock Lesnar, he's not a full-time wrestler. He doesn't care about the WWE. That's how I felt. But obviously, as time kind of progressed, I was like, okay, now I know why WWE did it. But to have that match end in 86 seconds against Brock Lesnar, I remember watching it, and it was just a huge letdown. And as a wrestling fan, I was like, okay, all right, okay, yeah, silly me, fool me one time, shame on you, fool me twice, I put the blame on you, kind of thing, you know what I mean? All right, guys, so hey, thank you so much for tuning into my Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Always remember to like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter /X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. Like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we have all these amazing podcasts with all these, passionate podcasters who are ready to give you guys their blood, sweat, and tears. We got my man Emran coming up shortly with the Dead Ball, the GSMC Dead Ball podcast, where he talks about sports, absolutely all sports, and it's pretty badass. So make sure you guys tune into that. We also have my man Nelson with the GSMC Sports podcast. We also have Jeremy with Sports by GSMC. We have 2 football podcasts. If you guys finding out all the awesome stuff going around the NFL, the National Football League, all the breaking news, all the hot takes, all the firings, all the, should this person be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Should this person be Coach of the Year? Is this person a better quarterback than this person? Tune into the GSMC Football Podcast with my boy Kenneth and the Chip Shot Football Podcast with my boy Manny. Make sure you guys tune into that with all your football know-how. And in terms of talking to football, the NFL, everybody has a fantasy league. Tune into Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Find out all your stardoms. Find out all your situms. Find out who to pick off the waiver wire, because turn your team into a WWE Championship team by listening to my man Chris Shepard. We also have Saturdays. Always, college game day. We have my boy Tommy talking everything in terms of college sports. Definitely one of the hottest college football sports podcasts out there in the world today. So make sure you guys check that out. This guy's simply amazing at what he does. And, you can't help but to, kind of bite and linger and want to hear more from this amazing guy. Because, in terms of talking college sports, college football, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But if you watch this podcast, I guarantee you will be a college football fan by the end of this by the end of the podcast. So make sure you guys tune into that. All right, guys. So hey, that's it for me. Obviously, you guys have a beautiful, amazing Wednesday night. Watch AEW Dynamite so we can talk about it tomorrow. And obviously, hope you guys have a great Thursday as well. Stay beautiful, and of course, as always, love you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit.